Harbor Freight doesn't make money by selling cheap tools. They make money by convincing you that you're getting an incredible deal. Coupons don't appear randomly. Clearance items aren't just about clearing inventory. Return policies, warranties, and even the way employees handle defective products all follow a specific internal logic. This content isn't about judging which tools are good or bad. It's about revealing what actually happens inside Harbor Freight, the things only insiders understand, and that most everyday shoppers rarely notice. You'd be awesome if you liked this video. 1. The difference between budget lines and premium lines. The difference between Harbor Freight's budget lines and premium lines isn't just about price or how a tool feels in your hand. It's about how each line is positioned within the company's internal system. These two groups are managed, displayed, and supported after the sale under very different standards, clearly reflecting the roles they play in Harbor Freight's overall strategy. The budget lines are designed to maximize volume. The goal is fast access, low prices, and high inventory turnover. These products usually have thin margins, which are offset by large quantities and frequent purchases. Because of this, tolerance for variation is wider, and returns are handled quickly to preserve a low-risk purchase experience. Internally, these items are seen as traffic drivers, meant to bring customers in, not as tools for building brand reputation. Premium lines, on the other hand, are positioned to protect trust and credibility. They don't need to sell in large numbers, but they do need to be consistent and create fewer post-sale issues. Quality control standards are typically tighter, and the way these products are displayed is more distinct to reinforce a sense of separation. Internally, reducing return rates on premium items is a priority because each return doesn't just add cost. It directly affects the reliable image these higher-end lines are meant to uphold. 2. Warranties and product upgrades. Within Harbor Freight's system, warranties and product upgrades aren't just after-sales services. They're core tools for risk management and customer retention. The two are closely connected and operate according to a very clear internal logic. Extended warranties are designed to absorb quality inconsistency. When quality control standards are loosened to keep prices low, the risk of early failure increases. Rather than tightening production inputs, the system manages issues at the output stage. Fast exchanges, quick replacements, and minimal friction. Internally, speed and convenience are prioritized over investigating root causes, because the goal is to maintain a hassle-free shopping experience. Alongside this is the product upgrade mechanism. When a customer brings in an item under warranty, the process doesn't stop at replacing the exact same model. The system allows customers to move to a different version, with any price difference handled immediately at the counter. This approach helps reduce inventory in the lower-tier lines, nudges customers toward higher price segments, and turns a warranty claim into a new sales opportunity. 3. Low prices and too many choices can be overwhelming. From the moment you first walk into Harbor Freight, the most common feeling isn't excitement or joy, it's overwhelm. The shelves are packed, product options stretch from the cheapest to higher-priced versions, and the same type of tool often comes in multiple variations. Low prices are everywhere, making it hard for shoppers to tell which option actually makes sense and which one just looks like a good deal. This sense of overload isn't accidental. When faced with too many choices, the brain tends to stop analyzing deeply and switches to fast, emotion-based decisions. A surprisingly cheap item easily ends up in the cart simply because it couldn't hurt to have one. Small purchases add up quickly, turning into a large total, while the original goal may have been to buy just one or two specific items. Low prices also create another effect. They blur the line between need and want. When everything costs only a few dollars, the question, "Do I really need this?" often gets skipped. Instead, the mindset becomes, "Buy now, figure it out later." The combination of endless options and low prices makes impulse buying almost automatic. For first-time shoppers, this overwhelm is even stronger. Without reference points or a clear understanding of the real differences between versions, it's difficult to judge actual value. The more options the store offers, the less confident the decision becomes. 4. How to find and use coupons effectively. At Harbor Freight, coupons aren't a bonus. They're a built-in part of the shopping experience. Knowing how to find and use them helps shoppers avoid paying more than necessary and better understand the store's product release and pricing rhythm. The most common coupon sources are email and text messages. Sign up once and coupons arrive regularly, rotating through different product categories. The key is not to rush. Many coupons return in cycles, sometimes with better discounts after a few weeks. Paying attention to this timing helps avoid buying too early at a less than optimal discount. Beyond official channels, coupons also appear on third-party websites and apps. These often collect all active codes in one place, making it easier to compare and choose the best deal. At checkout, having the code ready on your phone is enough. The system scans quickly and there's no need to print anything. The most effective way to use coupons is to apply them to items you already plan to buy, not to justify extra purchases. A coupon only truly saves money when it lowers the cost of an existing need. If you let coupons drive your decisions, total spending can easily exceed your original plan. 5. Price rules and coupon limitations. At Harbor Freight, coupons don't work on a first-come, first-served basis. They're governed by very clear pricing rules. Understanding these limits helps avoid disappointment and also reveals that coupons are part of a broader price control system, not spontaneous giveaways. First, Harbor Freight uses uniform pricing nationwide. An item costs the same no matter which state you're in. This makes coupon rollouts consistent across the system and prevents store-to-store price comparisons. When a coupon is released, it applies company-wide. There's no situation where one location is cheaper than another. That said, not every product is eligible for coupons. Items priced close to their margin limits or those that sell extremely well are often excluded. This is why many shoppers wait for a discount code on a specific item and never see one. That absence isn't bad luck. It's because the item was never eligible for discounts in the first place. Another key limitation is that coupons usually can't be stacked. The system is designed so each transaction applies only one primary promotion, preventing prices from dropping below controlled levels. Cashiers don't have the authority to bend the rules beyond what's printed on the coupon, even when it feels like you're almost getting an exception. Like the video if this surprised you. 6. Inside Track Club membership. Inside Track Club isn't designed for everyone, but it's highly effective for the specific type of customer Harbor Freight targets. At its core, this isn't just a discount membership. It's a way for the store to categorize shoppers and tailor incentives based on loyalty and buying frequency. The membership grants early access to certain sales and lower prices on selected items. The key word here is early. Harbor Freight uses Inside Track Club to create an advanced buying window, moving inventory faster before discounts are rolled out to the general public. For frequent shoppers, this timing advantage can make a noticeable difference. From an internal perspective, Inside Track Club also helps Harbor Freight identify customers who spend consistently and return often. This group gets a smoother shopping experience with fewer coupon barriers in exchange for an annual membership fee. It's a fairly straightforward trade-off. Pay a fee to reduce friction while shopping. However, Inside Track Club doesn't deliver equal value to everyone. For shoppers who only visit Harbor Freight a few times a year, the benefits often aren't enough to justify the cost. On the other hand, for those who shop regularly, especially for items frequently included in member pricing, the value becomes apparent very quickly. 7. Products with high versus low return rates. Within Harbor Freight's system, whether a product is returned often or rarely isn't just a reflection of customer experience. It's an internal signal of how each product line is being managed. Return data is closely monitored because it directly affects costs, inventory levels, and how promotions are adjusted. Products with high return rates tend to share common traits: very low prices, quick purchase decisions, and wide variation in quality. When the goal is high volume, the system accepts higher return rates to keep inventory moving. Returns in this group are handled with minimal friction, fast exchanges, quick refunds, limited questioning, prioritizing a no-hassle experience over investigating root causes. On the other hand, products with low return rates are usually part of lines positioned to maintain trust and credibility. Internally, these items are managed with an emphasis on consistency and reduced post-sale friction. Low return rates help cut processing costs, ease warehouse pressure, and, most importantly, preserve customer confidence. As a result, everything from shelf placement to promotion timing and even how employees explain these products tends to be different. What's especially important is that return rates influence future decisions in the system. High return items are more likely to be pushed into clearance, paired with frequent coupons, or given shorter product life cycles. Low return items tend to hold their prices longer, receive more selective promotions, and stay on shelves for extended periods. 8. The 90-day return policy. Harbor Freight's 90-day return policy may look very generous from the outside, but in reality, it's a key part of how the system operates. It's not just about being nice to customers, it helps absorb risk from the low-price model while keeping cash flow moving. Within the 90-day window, returns and exchanges are handled quickly and with minimal debate. This approach significantly lowers the psychological barrier to buying. Customers are more willing to try products because they know there's a fallback option. For Harbor Freight, that translates into higher conversion at the register, even for items buyers aren't fully confident about yet. From an internal perspective, the 90-day policy also helps classify returns clearly: true defects, poor fit for the user, or simple changes of mind. The system prioritizes speed over detailed investigation because the cost of arguing often exceeds the value of the product itself. 9. Restocking fees on certain items. Not everything at Harbor Freight can be returned completely friction-free. For certain items, restocking fees are applied as a barrier to casual returns and as a way to control internal costs. Many shoppers only discover this at the counter, but it actually reflects a very deliberate risk classification strategy. Items subject to restocking fees usually share similar traits: higher value, difficulty being resold as new, or a tendency to degrade once opened. When these items are returned, they can't simply go back onto the main shelf. They require separate handling paths, additional labor, and extra storage space. The restocking fee helps offset those costs and discourages buy it just to try it behavior. From an operational standpoint, these fees also guide purchasing decisions. Shoppers tend to think more carefully before buying items that carry restocking fees rather than making impulse decisions. This reduces return rates in categories that are already expensive to manage after the sale. It's worth noting that restocking fees aren't applied broadly. The system is selective, keeping most low-priced items under easy return policies, while placing barriers on more sensitive categories. Cashiers don't have the authority to waive these fees because they're part of a pre-calculated policy designed to maintain balance across the system. 10. Abuse of the return policy. Harbor Freight's generous return policy unintentionally creates another issue: return abuse. When bringing items back to the counter is too easy, some customers begin to treat returns as part of the normal usage process, rather than a backup option for genuine problems. The most common form is buying a tool for short-term use and returning it once the job is done. The tool still works, with no obvious defect, but it's returned under the reason of not suitable. On an individual level, this may seem harmless, but at the system level, every such return triggers inspection, sorting, processing, and a loss of product value. Internally, these behavior patterns are closely tracked. Items with high buy-use return rates are adjusted accordingly. Tighter conditions, restocking fees, shorter shelf life cycles, or being shifted to as-is sales. In other words, returned abuse doesn't disappear. It's answered with new barriers built into the system. The ripple effects also show up in the overall shopping experience. As handling costs increase, the store has to compensate elsewhere, pushing extended warranties more aggressively, reducing promotions, or tightening flexibility at the counter. These changes affect everyone, including customers who use the return policy responsibly. 11. Open box as-is items. Open box as items at Harbor Freight are a category that often goes unnoticed. Yet, they clearly reveal how the system handles products that no longer fit on the main shelves. These items aren't brand new, but they're not severely defective either. They're typically the result of returns, display units, or products that were opened but couldn't be sold under standard conditions. The defining feature of AS's items is significantly lower pricing, paired with higher risk. Products may be missing accessories, have damaged packaging, or have been lightly inspected before being put back up for sale. Internally, this is accepted as a way to clear inventory quickly rather than spending additional resources to push items back into the standard sales cycle. For as-is items, the process is stripped down to the minimum. The return window is much shorter, sometimes only a few days, and the terms are clear. You buy it, you accept its current condition. Employees have very limited flexibility because all the risk has already been priced in. This is how Harbor Freight shifts the burden of evaluation from the system to the buyer. 12. Damaged goods and disposal. In Harbor Freight's internal operations, damaged goods and disposal are rarely talked about, but they reveal a lot about how the system manages risk. Not every returned or defective product is resold, cleared, or moved to the as-is section. A certain percentage is removed entirely from the sales cycle. Items marked for disposal are usually those that can't be guaranteed safe, have structural defects, or whose condition can't be reliably verified after customer use. Reselling these items would carry legal risk and could damage trust. So the internal decision is firm. Take a one-time loss to avoid long-term liability. Disposal doesn't happen casually. Products are flagged, categorized, and handled under clear procedures. Some are dismantled to make them unusable. Others are processed as industrial waste. Employees aren't allowed to keep or repurpose them because any deviation could create serious consequences for the store. What's notable is that disposal costs are already built into the low-price model. Harbor Freight accepts a certain level of loss as part of the strategy. Sell cheap on the front end and clean up efficiently on the back end. Instead of squeezing every last bit of value from every item, the system prioritizes speed and safety. 13. Off-system liquidation goods. Outside Harbor Freight's official store system, there's another flow that most people never notice: off-system liquidation. These are products that no longer make sense to sell in-store, but still have economic value if moved through other channels. Rather than letting them sit in inventory or handling them internally at a high cost, they're transferred to professional liquidation partners. These liquidation lots typically include large volumes of returned items, lightly defective products, excess inventory after model changes, or items the store no longer wants to display. Once they leave the system, they're sold by the pallet or by the lot at prices far below the original retail price. Responsibility for inspection, sorting, and resale is fully passed on to the buyer. What's important to understand is that Harbor Freight no longer controls how these products are resold. As a result, they can show up in many different places: local liquidation stores, surplus markets, or even unrelated retail platforms. Prices may look extremely attractive, but the condition of the goods is no longer guaranteed under Harbor Freight's original standards. What happens behind the shelves matters just as much as what's displayed out front. Once you understand how Harbor Freight handles returns, defective goods, as-is items, and off-system liquidation, you start to see low prices differently, neither naively optimistic nor overly suspicious. Instead of guessing, shopping becomes more intentional, knowing where risk is acceptable and where it should be avoided. That's the real value of these inside secrets. Which part of the video surprised you the most?